All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Chris Bailing. Today, we're going to be doing kind of a quick overview on a new module that was released by the DNN developers, EasyDNN Solutions. Last week, I think it was, they released a new module called EasyDNN PWA. And this is a module that I think primarily serves two purposes in the scope of creating a progressive web app. The first one is it helps you define some of the required pieces of information to have a progressive web app that you offer. That's things like defining the app name, defining the logo, defining like the background color that shows up in that application. So some pretty basic configurations, but also required configurations that you need when you create an official app. And then the other piece is kind of the marketing aspect for it. When you install this app, you can configure it to show kind of like a pop-up banner to users on a regular basis, like every 3 days or every week. And it will show them this banner, kind of encouraging them to download that progressive web app that you have on your website. At a high level, a progressive web app is a application that is built utilizing web platform technologies, and it is intended to display very similar to a native Android or Apple application. One of the big benefits for it, I think from us and for a lot of developers, is that we primarily build websites. And so when you're looking to build a PWA, it's utilizing everything that we use today to build websites. So we're writing HTML, CSS, JavaScript, using that with a content management system like DNN to be able to build all of our pages and manage all of our content. We're not going in and building a dedicated solution outside of the website that we're working with. From a user experience, the process to install a PWA is different than what it is to install a native app. A native app that is running through the Android or Apple App Store is a common user experience that people have today. They go to the App Store, they search for it, they find it, they do an install. You might have links on your website that take the user to the App Store where they can view it and then click to do that install. The user experience also varies a little bit between Android and Apple. I think Android has been a bigger fan of PWAs, and they have a more cohesive user experience for installing it. Apple, from what I was reading, they were kind of not a big fan of it early on, and so there's not a great user experience for installing it. So I'm going to quickly go over to the EasyDNN website where they talk about the app. They have some screenshots in here that show you what that experience looks like, but in general, once the user has installed the app, it's going to take up a space on your home screen. It has an app icon and name. The user can click on it and view the app from there. If I scroll down, they have some screenshots here. So first section here, first row is like the Android experience where it gives you this little pop-up tray. You click on it to install it, and then it's going to walk you through and complete that install with you. If you're looking at an iPhone user experience, it gives you this image that says, hey, you need to click here, then click here, then click here, and then it's going to install it on your phone. It's kind of interesting because the route that you're taking to do this on an iOS is the same step that you take to bookmark a website to your browser, or to your phone. You go to the share icon, and then there's usually a link that says save to home page, and you do that, and it creates a little shortcut for you on your phone. The benefit with using the EasyDNN PWA module is it is, again, collecting the app name and allowing you to upload an icon for it. So it allows you to customize that a little bit more and better define what that information looks like and how it presents to the end user. One of the other big benefits, I think, with the module is that there is a setting, which I think I have pulled up here, that allows you to determine if the app should be displaying as like a standalone or if it displays as a browser. Do we want to allow the user to be able to view that in a browser, use a search bar, open up new tabs, go through that process that you would get if you're viewing it through Chrome or Safari. And the default is a standalone configuration, which gives you a more complete app presentation because your search toolbar is removed. They're stuck in that app on your website during that time when using it. Just looking at this page, there's not a lot to configure, which is kind of nice. Defining an application name, short name, a description for it. The URL is the starting page for it, which you can't do an external site like Google, but you can put in whatever URL you want. It just might not work if it's not actually your website. Then you have the icon that you can upload, choosing the background color, a theme color. You can determine the orientation if it supports changing between portrait or landscape, or you can fix it. And then they have items related to the call to action to get people into install it and remind them or notify them that there is an install option. And then you have your frequency scheduling for it. So not a whole lot to configure in here, but that's kind of nice because it's easy to get it set up and running. But yeah, once the user has gone through the process to install it, then they can open that up and continue browsing and playing around with it however they'd like. Deleting it is just like deleting a normal application, so it goes through that same process to ask if you are sure you want to delete it, and then it will remove it from the app or from the device. Application upgrades. So really nice feature that I think having it as a PWA is that it allows us to develop with the same processes and tools that we use today, but it also allows us to just update in one place, right? We update the content on our website. The PWA is going to have those changes made to it as well, assuming we're using the exact same content or have a relationship built around it. We've done similar processes with other websites and apps that we've built using DNN as a headless CMS, exposing API endpoints to the app. We're able to consume information and then pop it into a display in the app. That is all possible, but I think from a front-end developer standpoint, developing with a PWA can make that even easier process because we can build using all of the components that we're familiar with, like EasyDNN News and Too Sexy and just standard theme type development. So I mentioned in the configuration, you can determine the URL that is really the home page for the application. And so this allows you to do proper segmentation of the app if you want to. And so you may have your website like 10poundgorilla.com, and then you might want to be creating a dedicated app that has its own section where you maintain all of the content, and you can customize all of it based on whatever you want to display in that app, right? So you could build something completely separate from your main website, but it still just gives you all of the benefits of just building a website, right? Looking at the Colorado Cross Country Ski Association as an example, maybe we didn't want the official homepage to be the homepage of the app. We might choose the activities, the resorts, or the event calendar page to really be that homepage for the app. Really trying to define what's going to be the most beneficial for users. What are they coming back to frequently? If they're out and about and they're going to open up the app, what are they looking for? So, like the resorts page could be very beneficial because if you're trying to find different things to do at these resorts, that would be something that I would find useful from an app perspective. Future enhancements. Currently, I think the app is pretty minimal, but that's fine. It's doing kind of the bulk of what you need it to do. What I would really like to see with the app is the ability to do push notifications. PWAs do support service workers that allow you to access and send push notifications to users when the app is opened or closed. And so having a way to create and schedule push notifications through the DNN module, I think would add a lot of capability and power for the product and service, which just gives you, again, a more robust app-like experience. And then you have the ability to add the app to both the Android and Apple App Store. It requires you to use a tool like PWA Builder. This tool think I have pulled up here, is really straightforward. You pop in the URL for the app that you're going to build. It will go through and scan the website, pull out all of the data that it needs to be able to build that app solution for Android or Apple, and then you can download that package and upload into either app store to start that configuration and review process that you need to do. I was playing around mostly with the Google Play Store, building a bundle, setting it up in a development track, and getting it to install. Overall, not a terrible process. I think once you get familiar with it, it can become pretty efficient. But I think if you're going to go down the road of building an app and wanting to do some type of solution that is pulling in content for users to really easily access on their phone, potentially going that extra mile to have it available in the App Store for download is just going to create a more cohesive user experience. I had some struggles, I think, downloading the app, trying to get it to install on my phone initially, because I was clicking the button thinking it was going to go through and install for me. It was not. It was telling me, hey, click this button, and then it will save it to your phone. And so I think other end users could have a similar problem. But I think, as Apple starts to embrace progressive web apps more, maybe that's not something that you ultimately need to do, and to submit it to the app stores. I also don't know how frequently you need to push new updates to the App Store if you're using a PWA strategy and you're using that builder tool. At what point do you need to add new features if it is basically just your website? Maybe you only need to do one initial deployment to make it available, and then all other updates are managed through your website. So that could be nice, but have to kind of play around with that more. On the process of adding it to the App Store, Apple has probably a stricter review process and approval process to get your app on the App Store. They do have a section dedicated to like minimum functionality of what they're looking for in an app to be able to review it and approve it and have it available on the stores. They want your app to not just really be a copy of your website. They don't want it to be marketing material about your organization. They need your app to be engaging for users, provide some type of entertainment or value for them outside of something that they would just get from a website browsing for research or things like that. So, looking again back at the Colorado Cross Country, organization, I think the homepage could cause some red flags as part of a review process because it is very marketing promotional type information, instead going events driven, resort type information that might provide more value for end users out of the gate and help you meet those requirements to get approved in the app stores. And I think my cat water filter is yelling at me right now in the background. But that is all I had. I've spent just a little bit, probably about this week and a half since the PWA module was released by EasyDNN News, kind of getting it installed on our dev site, and it's it's pretty basic in what it's doing, but it allows us to get it configured and go through that process of installing it and getting that full app-like user experience.
I've played with it too, Chris. One thing, there was a lot in there that was helpful for me. You did a lot of research to answer some questions. But one thing that those, you talked about that standalone, I forget their standalone full screen minimal UI and browser or the manifest types. So in learning the things that I don't like about the PWA module, which from a usability standpoint are some things that like a click doesn't show, and I'm sure there's ways that you can do that. So like on your mobile device, if you click something, in a browser, you see like the loading bar or some indication that there, an action was taken. Mm-hmm. Where on this, like if it's taken a second to like go to the next page, there's no indication for it. I don't know if you experienced that, which I didn't love. But the other thing was like being able to refresh and back. Now, on a mobile, you have your swipe or whatever that you can do that with, or pull down to refresh. But on like the mobile applications, there was no way to do that, and that manifest file does make a difference. I don't know them all, but one of them gives you a back button and a refresh button, and one does not.
Like the minimal UI or something.
Yeah, I have to. Yeah, I think it might be the minimal UI, which I found was helpful because, like, I don't know if you guys have used these apps, but like, I use, like, I have Android messages for my phone, but I use their app, PWA app on the Mac, or like YouTube. I have that as PWA on my Mac. And that's where I learned. I was like, oh, YouTube has a refresh back button, and it was all that manifest file. So they do add some options. So like if you wanted a back button or a refresh, you would want to choose the correct manifest type for that. I didn't notice a huge difference as if like one was adding tabs or not, that you said, but I didn't play with it much.
Yeah, so I'm referring to, like, if I go to my phone now, I can go to 10 Pound Gorilla, which doesn't have it installed, and I can save my browser as a shortcut on my phone, and I can access it, and it functions almost identical to how a PWA sits on your home screen for your phone, right? I can click it and launch it and continue browsing, but that gives you the full user browser experience. So I'm in Chrome at that point. I can go off and go anywhere else. Where if you're modifying this display presentation, you can limit them from being able to leave, right? If they want to leave, they're closing the app and going somewhere else.
Oh, okay, yeah. So, but that was all about that minimal UI. I think it is that minimal UI that has that back and refresh button, which
yeah, I'll play around with that.
Or a few times going, well, geez, other people are going to, and then I was like, why am I using this app? I'll just go to the website on my phone because this isn't adding any value past, a shortcut, like an app on your phone. But
yeah.
So I've set these up manually before, and they're pretty simple to just do, because most of these settings are like one-to-one with like meta tags and stuff in the head. I don't know if you looked at maybe if it works to just set it up in the skin.
I haven't, and it would be interesting to look at. I mean, you could put it in the skin. You could build even like a Too Sexy app that does that, right? It just injects whatever you need for that in the head. There's not a lot of settings in here, so I feel like that could be pretty straightforward to put in it. But to your point,
pretty much everything but the install button is like one-to-one with a meta tag or a link tag.
Yeah.
So if they do add the notifications feature, that'll be more unique.
Yeah, I was looking for that too, and I don't know how difficult that is to do, or if it's something like you have to do it per project. Because when I Googled it, it was telling me something about using Firebase in order to create.
We were probably looking at the same thing. I was looking at it, I was like, oh God, this is awful. I don't want to do this. Hey, Demir, can you build this?
Yeah.
So, yeah. So kind of going back to what you were saying, Gabe, it would be interesting to look at the properties needed, because how complex is that? How much of this information can we already get out of what we know is in like a DNN website, that you could build that available for basically every website as part of our standard DNN theme, right? If we need a title, a logo, a color, like all of that information can be determined and built into a theme to support that. Not that every but
as I mentioned, I've set it up personally several times on my own projects, and it's very simple. There are tools online that allow you to auto-generate the icon files, so you don't have to do it yourself. But it does not take long, so it might be something to look into.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm based on what you're saying, Gabe, and what I saw is that all these settings that this module is doing is all it's doing is creating a manifest JSON file. Is that what you're basically doing on your own? Is creating that file, right?
Yeah, it's a manifest
Yeah, so-
JSON file and also some link and meta tags in the head. But I mean, you have access to the head through the skin, so.
Yeah, so, and I think that's probably that he puts in the portal folder, there's a folder in there and it creates a manifest file and as your settings. I had to go and look at that because I couldn't figure out how to get a new app icon to load. I like uninstalled the app, deleted it, cleared things, and still wouldn't, but it was like cached in the portal, I guess. But anyways.
Yeah, at my old company, I was actually in charge of doing all these for our sites, and I was sitting here trying to get into my old email to see if I could get my documentation, because we had a bunch of tools. Like I found a bunch of tools, and that's what we use, and it helped generate stuff. But yeah, just for the JSON file. So
If I remember correctly, the icon generator that I've used a couple times in the past will actually create the manifest for you. You can just go in and modify the values.
I do think, I mean, for some clients, I mean, there's clients that I have that would just, they would just pay to have this because it's cool to have an app or whatever, even if they never had anybody install it. You know, because that's so many people. Can we just turn this into an app? I'm like, what? No. But like this would be a way for those people to be like, to offer that to them.
Be sure to like this video and subscribe to our Gorilla Learning Lab. We have a lot more banana tidbits for you to get ape over. Check out our other videos or visit our website at www.10poundgorilla.com. I'm swinging on out of here.
Ooh, ooh, ah, ah! Ooh, ooh, ooh! You're not subscribed? That's bananas!